Hello, friends. Welcome to Akulmach Live. My name is Chandrakant, and today we want to discuss about the COVID situation in wake of this COVID. How it is impacting all different types of businesses, whether you are enterprise or you are SME or a startup. So I think we have to embrace the technology and something that we would like to discuss in our show today. But before that, a word on our giveaway. We have some unique Akulmach memorabilia which will make you look outstanding. The graphics on these corporate gifts are based on the global best business practices. To become recipient of one of these gifts for free, you have to watch this video till the end and provide your valuable comments. Or you can also share your experiences. The person who makes the best comment would be chosen to become a recipient of these beautiful Akulmach gift, absolutely free, delivered to your doorsteps. The winner would also get a chance to be invited live as a distinguished panelist during our next video. What are you waiting for, friends? Please subscribe Akulmach and smash that like button. Now let's get back to our discussion. Hello, friends. Let me introduce our guest today. His name is Mike Bradley. He joins us from UK. He is the Chief Strategy Officer of RHF and ScaleUpArena. We are very pleased to have Mike today on our show, and we will be discussing about the sustainability of business in the wake of COVID outbreak.
Chandra, good to see you again.
Good afternoon, Mike. Good to see you, and I envy your background. Don't you see any COVID impact in UK?
Well, we've seen a lot of COVID impact in the UK, of course. It's a recognised fact that we've had a very high number of deaths. We've had significant lockdowns. We've had, a large number of shops, retail outlets shut. We've had the tourism industry pretty much shut down. I think barring China, which I think is now boasting 18% GDP, I don't think there's an awful lot of countries around the world that have managed to avoid the negative effects of COVID. So yeah, unfortunately, we're all in the same boat. One thing we share together is this wretched pandemic.
Well, talking about China, Mike, I think I have my own doubts because it's a large country with a lot of infected people. We don't know what is the reality in China. There is Iron Curtain. So it's very difficult to believe their GDP growth of 18%. It's not, it's miraculous. But let's come back to more democratic countries like India, where, as you know, for last 15 days, I think we are reeling over exponential rise of COVID cases, and for the first time after November last year, we are actually facing the heat of medical equipment, oxygen, and rather lack of it, doctors availability. I think there is a lot of challenging issues now propping up, and that might impact a lot of other businesses that we have. So I would like to ask you, how do we cope up with this, considering that the enterprises, startups, and SMEs alike, all through are going through the same music? What all of these different segments should do from your point of view?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I'd just like to say I think it's a horrendous humanitarian crisis everywhere. But with the news that we're seeing and what we're hearing about India, it's a dreadful situation. And I think we all have to try and pull together to support. That I hope that there'll be a humanitarian effort to assist with this. And of course, we all have the challenge of we don't quite know what the real situation is for a whole host of reasons. I mean, India is a massive country. as a lot of places in India, that it's difficult to accumulate the statistics. It's difficult everywhere to accumulate the true statistics. But I think one of the ways that business can try and survive and pull itself out is obviously through vaccinations. And we are, in the UK, crossing our fingers that the monumental effort and success of the vaccination program, which we've now got a well over 50% of the adult population with at least one jab of their 2 jab vaccines. I was reading an article this morning which said that we're now actually the results have been more positive about lack of hospitalizations as a result of 1 jab. So I do believe one of the ways to unlock life, be that social, be that business, is definitely to get a significant major vaccination program underway, which I'm sure is something that India and Mr. Modi and all of his team will be looking at. And it amazed me. I saw yesterday a chart which showed the percentages of each different age group that have actually been vaccinated. The 70s and 80s, 100% have been vaccinated, pretty much. When it gets down to the 50s, there's only 70% of people who've been vaccinated. Yes, okay, there may be some minor risks to having a vaccination, but the risk of being hospitalized and being put in an ICU without a vaccination, to say nothing of the fact that you're potentially more likely to spread, catch, pass it on, and also, be unable to resume normal life, makes not taking a vaccination, if offered, totally irresponsible, in my personal opinion. So if you get the opportunity to have a vaccine, it's crazy not to have one. That said, coming around to the business side, assuming business people are going and getting vaccinated, they're doing their best to sort of minimize the impact, because I believe last night I saw that Delhi is 99% capacity of hospitalizations, and it's a crisis level. But also, of course, being able to maintain business is very, very tricky in the traditional sense. Face-to-face meetings, small retail outlets that rely upon people walking into their store to buy things, to have things fixed, traditional businesses, is a very, very tough situation. And so I think the governments, the large organizations, the charities, they need to find ways to trade with startups and SMEs to ensure that they're able to sustain themselves, because ultimately this is where the economic welfare of any country comes from. 99.9% of all companies are SMEs. That in terms of employee volume, it's not that, but in terms of actual businesses, it's a very, very significant part of any economy. And so we have to look for ways to really seriously support that area. And of course, the SMEs are also the tax generators. So another reason for governments to get behind it is, if they want to have public sector funding, they need to ensure that the domestic SMEs are able to succeed and overcome the problem. So within that context, I think that there is 3 key areas where business can try to sustain itself over this period. There's obviously the national and international aspect. So, for example, with ScaleUpArena, as you'll be aware, we have a network of people across the globe who are involved in the development and support and growth of SME businesses, whether they be traditional or tech, and providing things such as access to funding, access to joint venturing and partnering capabilities, the ability to acquire, to be able to expand without the need to actually travel to a country, but actually utilizing, for example, what we're talking on now, Zoom, the ability to trade internationally. There you are in Delhi. Here I am in London. Oh, I'm sorry, not London, in the UK on the wonderful South Coast. You can see the picture. Yeah, the very fact that we can still talk, build a relationship, trade, hypothesize, come up with solutions, and then actually, thankfully, the logistics business is still operational, apart from when the captain of the ship tried to turn around in the Suez Canal, of course. But thanks to the logistics still being operational around the world, we can still trade using online communications. What would have happened if this situation that occurred 20 years ago is beyond, it's not worth thinking about. We would have had a few video conferencing suites running poor ISDN quality communication. There would have been maybe a minor percentage of people that could communicate. But here we are using digital tools that enable us to talk across the globe, and I don't know, a very small percentage, let's say it's 80-20 rule, 80% of people can now talk online, whether it be Skype, it be Zoom, it be video, it be, WebEx, whatever brand it is, or audio, web, video conferencing solution. Thank goodness we can now do this. So, one of the first things you need to do is not be afraid to use this stuff. It's available, embrace it, optimize it, and at the other end of your call is just another human being with the same challenges, and it doesn't matter where we live in the world. As you know, Chandra, we all want the same things. So, just remember that if you're an SME business, don't be afraid to, like in sales, some people used to be afraid to pick up the phone. You don't sell if you're afraid to pick up the phone. These days, you won't be trading if you're afraid to talk on video conferencing or you don't like it. It's reality. It's there. Be yourself. Be cooperative. Communicate. Collaborate. Connect and close deals together, because you can do it online. I've done it for 15 years. Okay, so I know you can do it. Whether it be with clients, whether it be with employees, there are ways. Yes, it would be nice to meet face to face, but you don't need to be in an office. You don't need, although I enjoy traveling to India, incredible India with lovely views of the Taj Mahal. You saw my LinkedIn post. I love traveling to India, but we don't have to travel. It's nice to travel, and one day when we meet, we'll enjoy having a meal together in Delhi, I'm sure at Connaught Place or somewhere. But, for now, I can sit here in the sunshine of Christchurch and Dorset in the UK. You can sit in the even warmer sunshine in Delhi, and we can still communicate. So the first thing is, let's embrace the technology. Let's not whinge. Let's not worry about the problems. Let's just be grateful that we can actually still communicate globally around the world and use it for business to generate opportunities. Then, of course, the second area is traditional versus tech. So if you're a steel manufacturing company or a hydraulics business, typically that has been a face-to-face traditional way of doing business. In this day and age, in this current climate, embrace the technology. Because I remember I was running a hydraulics business 15 years ago, and not the Suez Canal, but we were shipping some hydraulic cranes to Mumbai, funny enough, and the shipping company broke down. No, sorry, it didn't break down. It went out of business when the ship was docked in Dubai. And so we had our hydraulic crane sat in the container somewhere on the ship. And it was at that stage really challenging to work out which container it was in, which ship it was on, where it got in the journey. And we had one of these audio conference calls with us all trying to connect in traditional business, the person in customs in Mumbai trying to identify what manifest and what container it would be on, and the shipping company in I think it was Felixstowe in the UK that was organising the transit from here. And then we also had the shipping company that was representing the company in Dubai. And we were trying to unravel the spaghetti situation. But again, thank goodness we have got online communications now. So I could share the manifest with you on a screen. We can say, oh, that's where it is. This is the ship it should go on. We can organize the transfer. The logistic industry is still working. So traditional companies as well can utilize current technology to keep trading, because ultimately there's still trade that's needed. There are still bridges to build. There are still houses and factories to build. There's a whole host of new technology that's going to come out with the goal of getting to zero emissions. There's the solar, there's the wind farms, there's the water power, all sorts of technologies that we need to implement to save the planet. And COVID is not going to change that requirement. So let's just embrace it and get on with those challenges. And then, of course, in the tech space is always changing. India, as you well know, is a hotbed of innovation when it comes to technology. Some of the world's best technologists are based in India. That space is expanding massively. And India, being a free democratic country, has the ability to generate solutions and support change, which is happening across every sector, and in some ways has been accelerated by COVID, to things like e-commerce and AI-based tools for making faster, more efficient decisions. So that robotics, Internet of Things, all these areas are expanding. So although COVID has impacted maybe the speed of deployment because people haven't been able to work, there is still a crying need for this technology, and it's expanding. And there's an opportunity for all of our countries to implement, optimize the technology that's there. And then, of course, there's traditional and tech as well.
Well, Mike, I think you made very pertinent points. And the good news is from tomorrow, the entire population is open for getting the vaccination. All adults will be registered from tomorrow. So anyone who's above 18 years to whatever age will be able to get vaccination. And to basically clarify the point that you made is that 70% of 45 and above are vaccinated and 30% are not vaccinated is because of certain people not wanting to vaccinate. There are people like I've seen these interviews in UK also. Similarly, there are a lot of people who have been asked by neighbors to get vaccinated. They said it's my choice. So the legal system provide that choice. So I think those are the people who are actually putting everyone else on risk, and they are not going for the vaccination. And I think you made a very good point about digital space. I think one of the positive things that happened last week was the Ingenuity helicopter had a successful flight on a planet Mars, and It is a Wright brother movement for mankind, even though it's a NASA project. But for the first time, we have flown a man-made aircraft on a different planet. So all this is happening because of tech. So I think you made very, very important points that technology is driving, and you also made a point about the India leading in the digital payments. Thank God the COVID has come now, because most Indians are covered using biometrics based mobile phones now. So in fact 99% Indians have mobile phone linked to their biometrics.
Yeah.
And that gives a opportunity for Indian government to start digital micropayments. And gradually over past 4 to 5 years, the limit has gone as much as a banking system. So you, as a, if you are in India, and if you're an Indian citizen, you can pretty much transact money as much as a bank would allow as a daily limit without having a bank account. So from A to B, you can do that. So I think it's all technology which is driving it. But I think the numbers are staggering in India. If you look at the population is 1.2 billion. The COVID patients are also huge in numbers,
Yeah.
sometimes almost equal to a country's population. So I think the situation is quite difficult for businesses.
Yes, it is. And I think that, what the vaccination is vital, and what we need to look for in the future. And in the UK, potentially, but we are the one to watch, because now we've got more of our adult population vaccinated than most other large countries. So my feeling is that we should be looking not at have you got COVID, but have you had to go to hospital because of COVID? And that, I think, should be the distinction moving forward, is to say, actually, we can see if vaccinations are working by previously there was 5% going to hospital. Now there's only 10% of the people that are actually needing to go into a hospital that get COVID. That for me will be the success. And that should be what we have to focus on, because then COVID becomes just another illness that we have to be vaccinated against, like influenza. And it's about keeping perspective and proportion, because what we don't want is we don't want the economic system in any country to collapse entirely because we're so worried about getting the swab test and oh, I'm positive or I'm not positive. That's not the point. You could be positive with a vaccination and you've got much better chances than if you are positive without the vaccination. So for me, that's the crucial point there. So the other point you made that I think is really a great opportunity is there is there is an increasing need for energy, and that energy can be generated through environmentally friendly mechanisms. I mean, India has a lot of sun, it has a lot of heat, and that is an opportunity to provide energy to parts of India that previously haven't been reached, I believe, for all sorts of infrastructure requirements. And as you rightly say, digital mobile technology connections are actually enabling that. And there are also now easier ways to adopt things like mid-tier technology, mid-tier satellite technology, to light up regions of large countries like India that have previously been dark to the internet and dark to digital, to open those areas up so they can have access to digital technology. They can then trade with their SMEs globally like we are. And so there's big opportunities, and I think an area that governments need to get behind and support innovation that enables the lighting up of digitally dark, if you pardon the alliteration, digitally dark areas of India and other places like Africa and South America that up until now have not had access to technology. And that can now be made available, which is good for trade, it's good for the local community, it's good for education. So lighting up digitally dark areas, I think is something that needs a massive focus, and perhaps it's time to divert some of the public funding away from, dare I say it, from bureaucratic processes. Let's move it into stuff that's going to drive the entire population forward globally, in each of our individual countries. That's what we need to invest in. In the UK, it's super fast broadband. Everybody needs super fast broadband. If you don't have digital connection, you don't have the same opportunity as a business or as an individual. And the same is true across the world. Whether we like it or not, we live in a digital world now. And so we need to be connected. And then, of course, there's also other massive opportunities around cybersecurity. So these are industries that are growing, expanding, and need support, need to be funded and supported by government and implemented by our SMEs. That's the lobby we need to create for our governments. Utilize the SMEs with the technology, with the innovations, help them to scale so that they can support the economies and the SMEs that they're part of, and then trade internationally properly like we're able to.
Absolutely, Mike. I think you made a very important point. I think about 2 years back, we have provided broadband across all villages across India. I think we finished that job 2 years back. But the problem still remains when you leave your village or you go out of your town. That is where the problem is. And the good news is Starlink has started their beta program, and it is pretty much available like any other internet service here. So once the Starlink by end of the year is fully operational in India, then we will not have that problem of losing the connection when we move out from the urban area or from the rural area outside the broadband connectivity. So I think it's a great opportunity for businesses to change their ways and come on the bandwagon. I think there is an opportunity for cybersecurity and also AI-based solutions, because I think when we are actually talking using these video platforms, then we are still missing out the 3D connectivity. So I think we need an AI experience plugged into all of these video platforms, because right now you see me in 2D and I see you in 2D. And it's pretty much like a video conferencing, but I think we need more personal experience. So I think there has to be an AI based engine which is plugged into these.
See my hand coming at you.
There is an opportunity for entrepreneurs either based in UK or India, and I think your platform can help bridge that gap where I mean there is a news about oxygen being scarcely available now in India because of more number of patients. So there is an opportunity. All hospitals have been allowed to produce their oxygen. So there is a new plant required, and so many millions of hospitals across India. So I think there are opportunities waiting to happen in health tech also between UK and
absolutely.
India.
Yeah, another growth area, like life sciences and digital health. It's actually an area that we're spinning out of the ScaleUpArena ecosystem. The other way is to work with exhibition companies who many of them are now gone online, but they don't have an ongoing presence. So exhibition companies who are running exhibitions across India, we can help those clients of those companies, the exhibitors, to have an online ongoing presence, to help them open gateways into other countries, they land and expand. We can do that through ScaleUpArena. We can provide support on funding, which I don't know a single company that doesn't need funding in some way, shape, or form. So funding is another major area that we can support companies that are looking to expand, and also joint venturing and with acquisitions, potential acquisitions. The way to enter a country is highly unlikely to be quick and effective if you try and go in, open an office, start a subsidiary, and grow it from that. The best way to do it is to have a joint venture or to acquire an existing business. And there are lots of people who are, shall we say, reaching the age where they want to pass on their business as a retirement sale. So there's massive opportunities for that. Our M&A brokering team on ScaleUpArena can support those sort of initiatives. So, we welcome any sort of communication connection for people who are looking for funding, access to markets, partnering, joint venturing, M&A across any sectors, because they all, like I say, need those areas.
That's a very powerful offering, Mike, and I think our viewers would love to participate in your platform and leverage it from various angles, whether they need funding or they need new clients or new regions. I think it's a very powerful platform. So with these positive words, I would like to tell the viewers that let this COVID not put brakes to your plan. You can come and take help from ScaleUpArena, join in large numbers and expand your business. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us today. We'll catch up in the next show next week.
Been a pleasure, Chandra, and have a great week. And stay safe.